Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. This is going to be a no communications reading for those who are dealing with Aries. Hello, viewer, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever your sign is. I hope you are doing well. Hope everything in your life is going as swimmingly as possible at this time. Viewer, you find yourself here if you are not in communication with an Aries at this time. You are not talking, you are not texting, you are not sexting, you're not sending, messenger pigeons, nothing. What you're going to see here today, guys, we're going to have two sides to the story, so to speak. So first, we're going to get messages from Aries to you, viewer. What would Aries say to you if the lines of communication were to be opened? What would they like to acknowledge regarding your connection with them or anything like that? So if you're looking for insight into what Aries would say to you, we're going to handle that in the first half. Now, given that Aries' name is sort of prominent on this video, I'm going to assume there are some Aries who might be viewing this. So Aries, if you're going to watch this, the latter half is for you. We're going to see messages from the viewer or any person that you're not in communication with that they might potentially want to see with you, or see or hear from you on this side, okay? So first we're going to handle Aries, and then we're going to go and handle the viewer. So if you want the timestamp, friends, that is in the description box below. Go ahead and hit that. That will take you to when the reading actually begins. You can also check in the description box for the information you need if you want to purchase a personal reading with me. If you have a question before you place an order for a personal, just go ahead and email me at the same address and I'll answer you as soon as I can. You're also going to see the link to my Instagram down there if you want to follow me over there on that platform, okay? Anything else? No ma'am, no sir. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So with this deck over here, this oracle deck over here, we're going to get an oracle message from Aries to you, viewer. What would Aries like to say to you at this time? In no communication. And again, I really mean no communication, right? It's no, sneaky snake DMs. There's no, text every 4 days and then they go missing for a week, but then they come back after a week. I mean, like, legit, you're not talking to this person, okay? So what would Aries like to say to the viewer who they're not in communication with at this time? Whoa. That was quite an ugly shuffle. And this deck is not normally that awkward to shuffle, but that felt like super awkward to shuffle. See, that's normally what I can get out of it. Anyway, let's see what's going on. From Aries to the viewer, what would they like to say? Aries to the viewer, please show me. Ooh, one card. What would they like to say to the viewer, please? And it's going to sound weird because it's going to be addressing, I don't know, we'll see. But this particular deck, it's not it's not like an oracle deck that you can really interpret from. Those fell to the floor, so I'm not going to take them. Yeah, well, maybe I will. Oh, I will. They're like, that one. Because one of them came, I saw like more than two, and I was just like, forget it. But there is one that came face up, so they want me to take that one. And we'll take these other two and place them on top of the pile. Oh man, that's more than two. There's like three there. But there is one that came face up, so this is what we're going to take. And it says, Dear you, sometimes you just feel like no one understands you. You're not heard, or even that you don't count. This, my dear, is a terrible illusion, and although your feelings tell you that abandonment is real, well, we who love you know better. You are never alone, and even when rejection happens, you are ultimately being protected so better things can replace what wouldn't have worked in the first place. Everyone on this side of the veil is watching over you and rooting for your ultimate success. Life loves you. We love you, and you are a unique spark in the universe and always connected to the light and to source. You are always in our care. Trust and keep the faith. Love you always and forever. So that can go either way. That can be Aries telling you, viewer, you're protected. Universe is on your side. You got guides who are kicking it on the other side on your behalf and really protecting you, or Aries feels that way about themselves. So we'll see as it'll be clarified with the tarot. But that's pretty positive, I mean, I love messages like that. So whether it's for you, and it could be for both of you, you know what I mean? Aries could be telling you we both have, some type of cosmic connection or protection that's keeping us, where we need to be. And if you're not in communication, that could be, Aries acknowledging I'm protected from you, you're protected from me, vice versa, both at the same time, who knows? So let's see further messages from Aries to the viewer. That's interesting that just flipped out like that while I was doing a bridge. So I'm actually going to take that. But 2 more cards, please, from Aries to the viewer. What would they like to say? Aries to the viewer. What would they like to say? Not in communication at this time. What would they like to say if the lines of communication were to open up? If Aries were to step forward, what would be their message? What would they like to say? No. Thank you. 10 of Swords. Yikes. 1 more, please. Yeah. All right. First card out was 4 of Swords, 10 of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. All right. So it feels like Aries would tell you they're definitely affected by whatever's transpired between the two of you. With the 4 of Swords, that's rest, that's respite, that's, being on an emotional or mental timeout, right? In a state of reflection. Can you really see that? Let me see. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Being in a state of reflection and not actually, I'm not feeling that Aries is actively pondering things, really. I think it's maybe a state of shock, maybe shell shock. I feel for some Aries, or the people, the lack of communication maybe has gone on for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, 4 of Swords, so maybe 4 weeks, a month, right? But there's certainly this like being stuck in like, this is like a freeze frame. It feels like in some of your cases, this is about ghosting, whether Aries ghosted you or you ghosted them, whatever it is. It's a general, it can go the other way, or I don't know who the perpetrator or the reason why you aren't communicating, but it feels as though Aries is like stuck in their tracks and they're not really necessarily looking for a resolution, even though the 4 of Swords traditionally is a time where you can find resolutions and you can sort of try and make sense of what's going on. And I feel the shell shock could be due to this 10 of Swords energy, where there's a betrayal, there's a backstabbing, there's this sense of being left for dead. Ooh, interesting. Could be loss of a job, because you can see this guy, he's on this rooftop, but then you see like this briefcase nearby. So Aries could have been fired, or someone could have lost their home or their security. 1 second. Could have lost, part of their security, their stability in life, and that has really, put a hamper or a damper on your relationship with Aries. This could be beyond romantic. This can be friends and family. You know your story or the reasons or the way in which you are connected to this Aries. But if it's not about loss of stability or a job, it is still this feeling of having no hope or having no recourse, having no way of seeing themselves out of trouble. Being that this is Swords and we had the 4 of Swords earlier, could be that Aries is going through something mentally. They could be, grappling with depression or anxiety. They could have all kinds, but some might, suffer from PTSD, and it's really like affecting them mentally. They're not necessarily balanced. I'm getting, in some senses, in some of your cases, the person you're talking about, or seeking information about, sees themselves as a victim, or they are a victimizer. It can go either way, but there's something about not being able to help it, not being able to be bigger than the situation at hand, or take the higher ground in some sense of it's like sort of possibly always, acknowledging that it would always go this route. It feels like that in some cases. Like I feel like a bad boy, if I'm honest. It feels like I'm the bad boy, I'm bad news. I'm not that they would say it in these ways, but there is sort of like this acknowledgement of I'm not all that I'm cracked up to be. I can be kind of an asshole, and being that I'm that way, it's undoubted. It was just a matter of time before we ended up in this no communication, in this place of, sort of being stuck and paralyzed or in a freeze frame, and then only really ever seeing the betrayal or seeing the heartache or seeing the pain, and not, because again, with the Ten of Swords in tarot tends to talk to release points, culmination points, where you get to the end of the line and then you restart back down to the aces, right? But I don't feel someone is necessarily in that space fully of releasing, and that could be a problem. Knight of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, could be dealing with an Earth sign, but don't have to be. I think this Aries would tell you the progress forward, whether that be towards releasing, whether that be towards reconciliation or opening up communication again, no matter what the track is or what the journey going forward is going towards. It's slow. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not desired to happen overnight. I think if this Aries is taking any responsibility in the situation, they might acknowledge quietly to themselves or quietly to, those they know and love and trust the most. But there's not a lot of openness. Like, that's the bigger part of this. All of this is shut down, Four of Swords, Ten of Swords, and now the Knight of Pentacles. In terms of emotions, in terms of expression, in terms of coming out and fully admitting what's going on, not so much. But in terms of turning the page, in terms of trying to, transcend whatever difficulties there are, or get past whatever nastiness or disappointment or hurt has existed in the past, that's going on. But is there a clear communication on that? No. Aries is being very quiet, very to themselves, and they're not really sharing that with you. Okay? And again, I feel for some it's like this acknowledgement of I'm the cause of the problem, or I'm the thing that needs to be avoided. Going back to this oracle card up here, run for the hills, save yourself kind of energy. I'm a bad boy or a bad girl, no gender. So when I was talking about I feel a bad boy, I could have been talking about a woman. A woman can be in that I'm a bad girl. And bad like as in I'm not what you need. Something like that. Because the Knight of Pentacles does take care of basic needs or take care of material, physical needs, okay? So, and like I said, with that briefcase there, this could have been a loss of a job, and this could be someone trying to get back up on their feet, trying to find their own stability again, and to have any type of relationship with you, any type of connection with you, viewer, would be a deterrent from that, or they're just not up on your level. Maybe. Some of them might say that. And to hear that from an Aries would be phenomenal, right? Because they don't normally express weakness, and I feel this person internally is aware of their weaknesses, internally might be aware of the ways in which they would be a detriment to your connection, but would not, outside of me tapping into this energy, they might not have expressed this to you ever, and they might not ever if you were to speak again. So that's the thing about tarot, we can see some of the hidden motivations or the hidden messages that people have. So let's see what else is going on. Further messages from Aries to the viewer, please. Additional messages from Aries to the viewer. Interesting. How that sort of slid up there like that. Further messages from Aries to the viewer, please show me. Wow, and they all came face down. Interesting. All right, so this one was first. My nails are not growing back fast enough. The Empress, Nine of Wands, and the Hierophant. So for some of you, this was an issue over commitment and singlehood, and someone not wanting to budge either way. Someone wanting commitment and the other one's like, nah, I'm good, and someone wanting to be single and the other person is like, no, I'm good. You know, it can go either way. But the Empress, secondary major arcana for Taurus and Libra, could be dealing with one of those signs or not at all, or you could be one of those signs, Nine of Wands, and then a Hierophant, major arcana for Taurus. There could be a Taurus of significance, but again, it's a general. Don't clutch too hard on signs other than yours and the Aries that you're dealing with. There's resistance. You know, if we read it this way, it's someone who's single, abundant, who feels fine on their own, resistant, or somehow wanting to hold on to that singlehood, or hold on to that, you know, being able to, or being self-sufficient and only having to worry about the self, and then being resistant to that commitment, that call for, that expectation of something heavier, of something more solidified. If this was a casual dating situation, somebody wanted to get serious and Aries was like, no thank you, I'm just gonna peace out on that. Or the reverse. Aries is like, okay, so we met yesterday. What are you thinking for, like, you know, bridal? What are you thinking for, like, wedding colors? And like, huh? So it's either too slow or too fast, or there's too expectation. Either expecting to just have something casual or expecting something to be serious and committed. Either way, it feels like Aries is, this little fruit fly loves to be on, like, how did that even get in here? Anyway, it feels as though Aries would like to acknowledge on either side, it just was a mismatch. You know, if this is about friendship, or again, like the business scenario, this could have been about trying to start a partnership in business, or trying, finally the error, that thing was going on for like an hour. It could have been about starting a business together, or investing in something together, or, you know, even you were just seeking Aries investment and they pulled back, or they ghosted you, or they never replied to your emails, whatever. There's something about maintaining self-sufficiency, maintaining abundance, having a solid single identity, romantic, business, family, whatever we're dealing with, and holding on to that Nine of Wands. And the call was coming from this traditional pathway of the Hierophant to lock it down. You see those keys down there on the ground? Lock it down. Get it under lock and key, right? So Aries was not playing that game, or they played it too hard and they scared you off. Either way you cut it, there is this, to me, it's like the timing isn't right, or the headspace isn't right. Whereas, excuse me, or the reason I say that is because of this reflective period between the Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords. And even with the Knight of Pentacles a little bit. There's this looking at what could have been, or looking at where the pathway was sort of leading to, what felt organic or natural to one side felt really intense and claustrophobic to another side. And I don't know who is the perpetrator of what energy, or rather the possessor of which energy, but I feel from Aries side there is this acknowledgement of, we dodged a bullet, or I dodged a bullet, or you dodged a bullet by dealing with me because I'm a bad boy, bad girl. And where that bad boy, bad girl thing could be coming from could be, in some senses, maybe self-sabotage. Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords, that can be a little self-sabotage. I did use the word victim earlier. They could victimize themselves. They could be, you know, discouraged or whatever. And then also, in other cases, it could be something about just savagely, interesting, savagely single. I said that earlier. Oh my God, that was in my head earlier. Savagely single. That phrasing just was randomly in my head. I think I was making a sandwich at the time. It was so random. But that makes sense. Savagely single, like holding on to singlehood so hard. And again, that could be self-sabotage. You could have had, you know, the beginnings of a very, you know, lovely relationship. But if someone doesn't want to do it for fear of committing, or fear of giving up their independence, or fear of whatever, what can you do about it? So this feels like Aries would acknowledge that the lack of communication, or the reason you guys aren't communicating, could be their fault, You know, I'm addressing it as if it is them, but it is still a general. You could be the one who's afraid of commitment, and you might be wondering, hey, what's that Aries thinking about? Well, they know there's some fear or there's some resistance to commitment and or a slow approach, because the Knight of Pentacles does usually move towards a goal, moves towards a certain outcome. So it could be you guys just aren't on the same page at this moment. But if I'm honest, it feels mostly like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give this up, or I don't want to move towards that next level. Something like that, okay? Now, hello Aries. If you're here watching this video and you're wondering, hey, that person that I'm not talking to right now, whatever their sign may be, what are they thinking? What would they like to say? If we were to talk, what would they say to me? What messages are they typing out to me on their phone but then deleting and never sending? This portion of the reading is for you, so that's what we're going to look at now. And if you're the original viewer of this reading who was looking out for Aries, here's what you might say to them. Maybe, not all of you, but maybe some of you. So messages from the viewer who is not in communication with Aries at this time. Messages from the viewer to Aries at this time, please show me. Thank you. One card, please. One card, please. From the viewer to Aries, what would they like to say? Yay. Messages from the viewer to Aries. Or excuse me, yeah, from the viewer to Aries. Listening. Hey, who's spying? Who's got wiretaps? Who's working for the CIA? I'm kidding. But maybe that's true. Listening. So not only listening and wanting, Aries, this person is wanting to hear from you, possibly, checking messages, checking voicemails, checking their mailbox or whatever. But beyond actually anticipating some type of communication from you, Aries, it's also listening to their guides, listening to their spiritual selves. I address the other side first in the reading. If you're an Aries and you're watching this, you might just happen upon this thing. But there's a sense that someone here who you're not in communication with, they have a spiritual side. They have a connection to the divine, to God, to spirit, to universe, whatever. And they are looking for guidance. So if you left them cold or they left you cold, that's kind of the weird thing also that I find with people who ghost. Sometimes they wonder, whatever happened to, or what's going on with? Well, you left. So what are you talking about? So, that's just an aside. But I do sense that in some of your cases, Aries, this person left you high and dry. And you're like, they're waiting for me to speak to them? They're looking for messages from me. You're the one who walked out. You're the one who stopped talking. So I feel a little bit of a bite there based on what I just said. They're waiting for you to talk. Why? I didn't stop talking. They stopped talking. Something like that. But let's see. Let's see what the book says. On top of what I just got there, intuitively. I wish that I wish these were numbered, because it would be easier to find them in the book. But here we go. Listening. A solitary winged maiden reclines. Oh, I always do this. I forget to hold the card up. My bad. A solitary winged maiden reclines in the canopy of the woodland glade. Her resplendent wings turn inward as she purposefully takes time to engage in listening to the songs of her feathered friends, the birds. In this modern age, more and more emphasis is placed on the role of speaking out, but few people take time to truly give of themselves by practicing the forgotten art of listening to one another. The deeper implication means we have forgotten how to listen to ourselves, the wisdom which comes from our heart and our connection to nature. Exactly. So this person, Aries, is seeking some type of higher connection or higher perspective from which to view this situation, view themselves, view the world, view whatever, right? There's this, I want to be calm. I want to sort of, maybe not reflect. I want to just sit back and receive. right? So receiving from spirit guides, receiving from, you know, their higher selves, receiving from a therapist in terms of, or maybe they want to be listened to in that case if they're seeking something from a therapist. But there is this wanting to just hear and not influence anything is what that feels like. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So let's see, from the viewer to Aries, what are the messages that they would like to share at this time? If they were speaking to Aries, if they were to come into communication with Aries and open up, what would they like to say at this time? Please show me. And I really want that fruit fly out of here. Oh, summertime. Let's see, messages from the viewer to Aries, please show me. Messages from the viewer to Aries. So 7 of Swords, King of Wands. Ruined. They're like, ruined. It's ruined. And the, Knight of Hazards, aka Knight of Pentacles. So again, there's something that's been ruined here. Something that's been tampered with or knocked off the rails. Right? 7 of Swords. King of Wands, fire sign energy. Again, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And the Knight of Hazards, air sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You know, we expect, I mean, if you look at this image, and this deck is the zombie tarot deck. If there was literally a zombie apocalypse and 2 people were hunkered down in the house, you would expect them to work together. You would expect them to, you know, try to keep each other safe, right? And what do we see here? We see this woman sabotaging the guy. And, you know, please don't hold on to the gender. I'm just talking about the artwork. But we see the woman sabotaging the guy, kicking him down the stairs towards those ravenous, you know, brain-hungry zombies while she's holding a gun and for some reason wearing a cocktail dress. But whatever. So there's like this sabotage. There's this intentional fucking up. There's an intentional monkey wrench thrown into the mix here where we are expecting to work together as a team. Let's work this thing out. Let's be, you know, supportive of one another. And then boom, betrayal, backstab. You know, when you least expect it, I kick you down the stairs and, you know, you go tumbling towards your doom, towards the end of your life, right? That's a very dramatic or very colorful description of what may have gone on between you and this person, Aries. Either you or they this person is acknowledging either one of you betrayed the other. 7 of Swords traditionally in tarot talks about deception, talks about lies and manipulation, talks about, in some cases, a cheating scenario. So for those where this was about a relationship, it doesn't have to be, you know, you guys were in a full-on relationship. It could have been, going back to what we were talking about earlier up here with, you know, kind of a reserved energy, slow moving, that Empress energy of being a single and independent person. It could have been, I'm dating multiple people, but the other person didn't know that, or they knew that, but were still expecting a commitment and it never went that way. Because there's something about this King of Wands coming out with this Knight of Swords. It's like the passion is there in this connection for those where it was romantic, or even in a friendship, or even in a business scenario. I'm fired up. I'm so passionate to make this money with you or to start this business with you. I can't wait. But there's a holdup, or look at this. There's a crash with that Knight of Hazards. What is going on down there? Jesus Christ. With the Knight of Hazards, Knight of Pentacles, there's slow progress, or like this card is depicting, possibly even a full stop to the progress of what we were hoping to accomplish. And he's handcuffed to the steering wheel. So in some cases, maybe the holdup or maybe the monkey wrench was an arrest or some type of legal trouble or some type of restriction. but the fire and the passion coming from the King of Wands was sort of like the kicker, was sort of like the sell point. So if this was a particular romantic entanglement, things were maybe hot and heavy, or things were, the King of Wands has a lot of great lines, very smooth talker, right? Doesn't have to be a male, doesn't have to be a fire sign. Aries is a fire sign, but it doesn't have to be them who's doing the smooth talking. It could be the viewer. It could be the cross watcher, or whatever, whoever is not the Aries, right? So I feel there was like this expectation that things were going to lead a certain way, and it just didn't end up going that way. If we had interference coming from, the world around us, arrests, we were talking earlier with the Ten of Swords up there, loss of job. A loss of a job is not only a loss of money. A lot of people can lose their pride or sense of self if they lose their career, or lose out on their income, or, whatever. So something happened that maybe knocked the confidence of the King of Wands out of whack, or the King of Wands was selling snake oil the entire time. Oh yeah, I love you, or oh yeah, we're going to be together. Oh yeah, this is going to be a great business, but never really had that firm commitment in mind, was always playing loose and casual, even though, and this happens, especially in this day and age in the dating world. I don't know what you know, but what I know is that a lot of people are out there not wanting a commitment, but acting as if, or engaging in behavior which is traditionally linked to, oh, we're going to finally turn this into a commitment. This is going to eventually lead to a committed relationship, and listen, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an expert or anything like that, but what I am seeing in clients and in my personal life with friends and everything is there are a group of people, or just some people are just like, let's keep it casual, keep it casual, keep it casual. You can't keep it casual most of the time if you are dating a person weekly, several dates a week, or at least once a week you go out. If you're talking on the phone, if you're texting all day, if you're having certain types of conversations, oh, what do you want to do with your life? Oh, da 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 da. How do you feel about kids? Oh, da 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 da. Those are not casual conversations. Those are the questions and conversations and actions you do and get involved with if you're building towards something. Now, maybe that's because in our collective experience, many people haven't learned how to be casual because we're so trained towards and conditioned towards monogamous long-term relationships. Not necessarily marriages, even though the Hierophant is here. He is a card of marriage, or that is a card of marriage in tarot. But there is possibly a lack of skill or a lack of knowledge of how to be casual. And what I see, the King of Wands is a king. Kings are not pages or knights. They are, okay, they're like, what came out with it? A knight did come out with it. So here you go. On the surface, Aries, someone may have been portraying themselves, could be you, could be the other person, who it is, portraying themselves as being steady, stable, secure, passionate, and revved up, and ready to be incredibly involved in something or incredibly dedicated to something, but actually they are a knight, a knight of hazards, a knight of pentacles, slowly developing towards being more mature, being more stable. Could have been also, if we were talking about business, could have said, I got $50K to go, or I've got $5,000, or I have this much to invest in the business. I have the resources, because look at this guy. He's also, he's got this drill in his hand. He's got a toolbox there. So I have the resources. They could have said that shit. King of Wands can talk a hell of a game, but actually what they have is this Knight of Hazards. They're one, DUI away from having their license revoked and their license or their business license shut down because of violations or whatever. There's something that prevents this person or prevented you from actually being able to be a full committed partner in some sense of the word, or in some sense of those words. So what else would the viewer like to say to Aries? People that they're not in communication with. The person that Aries is not in communication with. Thank you. What else would they like to say to Aries at this time? Messages from the viewer to Aries. A lot of these readings have been about acknowledging the shortcomings. That's great. because so many times people don't acknowledge the bullshit they do. Messages from the viewer to Aries, please show me. Okay, they want that one. One more, please. Oh my gosh. One more card, please. From the viewer to Aries. Thank you. Page of Swords. Okay. First card out on the second tier of messages. Queen of Cups. Two of Wands. And the Page of Cups. Could have had issue on the home front or in another area of life. Could have been... Lord. In some cases... Okay, listen. Now... This is very specific and it only applies for some. Wanting to be single, what we were talking about on Aries' side. A card of singlehood. Potentially. Pretending. Like I was just saying about the King of Wands. Could have been saying, I'm single, I'm single, I'm single, when really I'm married, I'm married, I'm married, okay? Because what I'm sensing for a few of you, especially those who were dating, and this could still be a monkey wrench even outside of the world of dating. There was a prior possible commitment to a Queen of Cups. Doesn't have to be a female, doesn't have to be a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. But there was some particular commitment, especially in the romantic dating sense, where maybe things were off with this person at the time, and so somebody was playing like they were single. Maybe it was like, we're separated, or... oh, we're together, but see, we're together, but we're raising the kids. Page of Swords, air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We're only together for the kids. I only go over there for the kids. I only meet up with him or her for the kids. Blah, 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 blah. The kids, the kids, the kids. What an excuse. What I'm sensing specifically for those where this was either a dating situation or a marriage or commitment has come into the mix and that has fouled things up. Aries, this person or you, again, it could be general, but I'm going to address it as if it was this person saying this to Aries. This person possibly had a secret marriage, possibly had a commitment that they said was on the rocks, but then that shit got patched up, or they're like, remember what's going on, Jay? We are in a pandemic, friends. So you could have been fun and fancy free with this person earlier in 2020, but then once quarantine happened and lockdowns happened, this person went on home to mama or went on home to papa, whoever they're married to, whoever they're domestically tied to, right? Who they have significant, or who they have children with. Significant children is what I was going to say. All children are significant, I would hope. But there's something about being pulled back into a place where maybe when you first started talking to this person, they said was not a factor. It is now a factor. Again, or, more strongly or more honestly, right? Two of Wands in the middle is a decision point, but it's not deciding between the spouse and the child. It's more of like I'm stuck between my children and my spouse. If I leave my spouse, my children will suffer. If I stay with my spouse, or if I stay because of the kids, my spouse will suffer because we're not getting along. So there's a lot of different ways this can go, Aries, but it could be someone returns to their loveless marriage for the sake of the children. Somebody returns to their marriage, and they continue to give into the marital act and they continue this false romantic connection with them. Like it's loveless, but it ain't sexless is kind of what that feels like. Interesting. And we had the Empress earlier, so someone could end up pregnant. And again, I don't know the specifics. And I don't know that would apply to everyone, but there is the sense of, well, now that we're back, and people have sex for all reasons, I'm bored. All right, let's do it. And then, now we're pregnant, even though we were 2-3 months ago talking about divorce. Now because a pandemic hit, and now because I needed to nut, now we have a baby on the way. Whoopsies, So that's not for everybody, but that to me makes sense, does it not? That's just biology. That's just the way life goes. Pandemic or not, but the pandemic certainly helps because we've been locked down in this house for like 2 straight weeks. I still think you're somewhat attractive, and I need to nut. You know, somebody literally was like, I just want a nut. And that nut turned into a child. And I hate to talk about it in that way, but that's literally, I just wanted to get off. And now there's another child coming, or our first child, or something like that. And then now we're even more in this Two of Wands energy. So that's very specific. And again, that's not for everybody, because some of you, this is family, this is friends, this is business. There is still this aspect of being indebted to another person or another situation, and that situation has something come out of it that's young and fresh and inexperienced, whether it be a child, whether it be you know, a new set of circumstances. Maybe this is like being on parole because of that car crash, because of some DUI or something like that, and now I have to walk my life very carefully. Oh, and that's the other thing, tying this back. But yeah, maybe I have to be careful with what I say, what I do, because of, you know, I'm on parole, something like that. The other thing that they want me to point out before we wrap this up is that this is the Page of Swords. Traditionally in the Page of Swords, this is a spy card. This is somebody who looks and watches and listens and doesn't say a word. What did we have earlier? You, Aries, might have someone who's watching you, missing you, reflecting possibly, or maybe not reflecting, but oh right, because we were talking about reflection earlier with the Four of Swords. So there could be some like wanting or missing, but the current circumstances are, you know, a shit show or restrictive in some type of way. And again, protected with that original message on your side, Aries. Being protected spiritually, being protected from by the universe, by spirit, from whatever this mess is, okay? Wow, what a reading. Guys, if you like this reading, if you found something that resonated with you here, please hit the like button. Please go ahead and leave a comment down below. I love to read comments and see how these things play out for you guys, if you're willing to share. Feel free to share this video on your social media platforms, let other people know you like watching my stuff. And if you want to subscribe and you're not subscribed, there's a convenient little button called the subscribe button that YouTube has provided for you, so feel free to hit that. The community continues to grow and grow, and so I'm enjoying doing this work for you guys, and I will continue to do so. And if you want to be with me on the journey, that'd be super cool. If you want a personal reading, that information is in the description box below. As for this particular reading, the no communications thing, this is my third time doing it. I do it so seldomly, so I don't know when I'll do this again, but I do have some mid-August readings coming out soon, so if you want to see that, again, please consider subscribing, all right? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Take care.